went by Starbucks. We're gonna go do our morning charge. Just got in a couple really crappy workout sessions this week, and it's Mother's Day. And what did I say to the girl there? Though it seems a little redundant, is to say that I hope that no rude comments ruin your day today, because it's Mother's Day. And what is a mother, right? What is a mother versus an individual that is in avoidance of samsara, in avoidance of taking on the blue pill and becoming a part of the default? It's a role, and it's not a widely positively brandished and accepted role, though people like to pretend. It is the main scourge on and the main joke of the Masonic order, along with every other religion. There's this secret initiation, right, to not only suppress and to put down, but to also create clandestine organizations that's supposed to show reverence or respect. But it is only toward the human female, but it is only in effort to further control the machine. Without the mothers, you don't have the machine. Without those who are willing in fertile ages and stages, you don't have the machine. And once a person chooses that blue pill mothership, that's interesting. There is no going back. She will not be an individual. She will not be a warrior. She will not be anything but a mother. Doesn't matter what she does. Her biology has changed. The default around her has changed. The field sees her differently. And it's just kind of weird that also, I reference back to the Planet of the Apes. I think it was the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes or something like that. Terrible movie. But I always try to look for some sort of esoteric underpinning or truth that conveys and purveys things on another level. And I'm sure any human female would agree with me. What needs to be ardently avoided at all costs is anything that has to do with the production, the further production that leads into anti-production, which is at its pinnacle becoming a mother, spitting out another demon. That's what we live in here. These are demons. There is an unseen war, and it is between you and I and everyone else. I think Alan Greenfield and others in that arena or scope understand that, and I think that they kind of revel in that, in the fact that we're all demons, we're all failed, we're all I think a demon is much more than just I think the jinn or the sort of failed messiah is the thing. But look at this jackass taking somebody flowers. Don't you give flowers, at funerals? Don't you give flowers to people in grievance? Are you offering something that was living at one time and is now? Look at that jackass. It is now dead. Right? It's like bringing a tree that you just pulled out of the ground. I don't know any positive situations where there is a mother involved. I've been observing this particular, let's say, personal field of study my entire life. Wondering how, wondering in what way there would be such machination and such inequality created and expectation, and then a total lack or lapse in good judgment and moral upstanding behavior. Just the good mother teaches you how to get stuff. That stuff is important. That it's stuff that you need. Right? How to be selfish. How to live in a very parasitic and way. No, I'm not on the wrong. I'm waking up on the wrong side, and I'm not tripping when I say this. And you can believe the narrative all you want. You can largely and broadly continue to take the blue pill, but I've never been a blue pill taker. And there's something that's very aware of you and your state of mind. There's a reason that Father's Day reads more like a eulogy in the way that it's sort of like, yeah, you know, my father. It's like your father, yeah. You gotta get rid of this whole life. And you can see how that, gallivanting about like a witch. Like a witch. It's a witchcraft day. This is witchcraft day, and I do not celebrate it. I do not feel guilt. Like I say, every mother that I know is a terrible human being. Just had this very candid talk with this homeboy, this brother, this real black male, that philosophically I have the best conversations no matter what. No matter the occupation, or you got people who are philosophically enlightened, and then you have the antithesis, a juxtaposed position with the female, where it's like, do they come from hell? Do they actually come from hell? Are they like the worst people that ever lived? And you have to backward engineer it. You know, you have to backward engineer it. But I'm talking about the elephant in the room. I'm talking about the thing that nobody wants to touch. I'm talking about everything that physics and science talks about. And when you place the mother ship, when you place the mother subparticle, when you place the mother philosophical whale of moral denial, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you philosophically go there, you can't ungo there. Once you get rid of this day, and once you get rid of them, yeah, once you get rid of the day of the master lady of the wood, once you get rid of the day of Mother Circe, once you get rid of all these paganistic, and it's not that paganism is wrong. It's very right in its scope, in the sense of it sees it, just like Wiccanism. It sees it and it's using the energy. How about a martyr where you have the witches who who were the Grand Alliance, right? That Wiccanism came from, and where there were a couple elderly witches that died. Like, once you delve into it and you really go, there's no martyrs, there's no good people in the game. But I think somebody who never had children at all understood that, but wasn't necessarily under the guise of a false enlightenment that portrayed itself by a mechanism of high intelligence, that is, being an antennae and bringing things to you, being an avatar. I think that the female that avoids the feminine and pushes away, and the male who pushes away the maleness, right? So that's why I see wokeism as an amazing thing, but it's a transitional stage. And the conservatives are always going to say, no, you can't transition. And it's like, yeah, you can, but there's both a misinterpretation, because the physical body doesn't need to go through any more transformation other than you lived and now it needs to die. Now the demon host needs to go, you know. Now this ties into the red right mother. Yeah, this ties into the red right and a lot of other shit. This is the false human female mother. This is the falsity of that. Just like Christmas is the falsity of the celebration of the Messiah. The Messiah is a whole different story. The Messiah is, we are living off of, and the light is produced for the enlightened individual, and there aren't that many, who is not a demon, who does not have the scope of a demon. And the sun literally shines for this individual, and all of the other people that pop out of vaginas and are part of this samsara, swarming and swirling around, trying to create democracy and fair treatment, when most of these people, if not all, I'm just going to say all of them, make the wrong decision. The selfish decision. No, I ain't celebrating any stupid shit ever again. Not in this time. Not at this junction point. And you all can live in an illusion. You can think that there's a nice old mother. Even, you know, like I'm flashing on Futurama, right? The mother. And I'm even thinking about that. And it's like you have this nice old lady who fakes it, puts on this robotic suit, and it's just a selfish bitch putting on love bombing. Like, let's break it down. You got the makeup, you got the bullshit way of acting, you have covering up the dress and finery. But when you really get down to it, as the witch ages, as she has done diabolical craft and gotten back merits, right? Merits in this meritocracy. For doing so, or selling off her sons. There is no good woman on the planet. There is no good man on the planet, but that is a different philosophical study. That's an entirely different thing, but it's all under the guise of this fight toward and this abolishing of understanding hieroglyphic monad as the encapsulating all, as the one. There's no male and female, no separation. That's engineering. You know? Why do you think that the Zulu portray this reptilian or alien agenda? Let's not call it alien. Of actually having these two caves, and they say, they give you a choice. You want to go in this cave or you want to go in this cave. You come out being female, you come out being male. And you have these people that if you could say there was a singular sex, you could also say there was a quality of an androgynous aspect to them. Now, the thing they needed to do is become like gods, right? And that's probably what they began with in the first place, this hermaphrodite. And I'm sure if the hermaphrodite sort of Rosicrucian idea or concept were in play, you would have the anomalies of those who were born more male, more female, more fertile on one side, more fertile on the other. And they were probably either outcasts or at a time celebrated for having produced certain offspring, right? And that every now and then that subject rears back up, because there is an undeniable third sex that does, where there are 4 X chromosomes, but there's a male. You know, there's a person that was found that was born with very small, around, they were buried with a sword, and you know, probably dated at least 7 to 1100 years ago, and they were this third sex, and that's celebrated in Hinduism as well. And I think most people would love the escapism toward a third sex, in the sense of, just get me away from this, get me away from the trap, from the samsara. But most of this is done to us, folks. And once you fight it, you fully see that you don't want it, and you never really did. It's something that's cymatically been driven into, just like the celebration of these ridiculous days of the week. Would I ever celebrate it? No. Would I celebrate the evil ex-wife that I have, who's a terrible mother and a liar? Would I celebrate my own mother, who's a terrible whore and a liar and a cheat and a thief? And would I celebrate that? No. Would I celebrate my grandmother, who called me an effing little bastard and cussed me out? Might as well have been on my birthday, because that's the type of person she was. No, she was evil. Would I celebrate the grandmother that I never knew, that practiced Santeria and was an actual practicing witch? No. Would I think real hard about somebody who was pre-scripted for the part? It's like, oh no, I have a great mother, I wouldn't be who I am. And it's like, who are you? What are you? That's why I almost don't want to do any rides today at all, because I hate pandering to this bullshit. I am of a higher intelligence. I don't need to pander down, but that's how people like me, Thomas Jefferson, the famous words, you know, you will wake up homeless on the beaches that your forefathers died for, paraphrasing. Those motherfuckers knew it. And I you know, I'm speaking to the individual. I'm speaking to the scientist. I'm speaking to the autonomous individual who fights the impulses, the hormone impulses, the cymatic impulses of a designation, of an identity, a false identity, right? I'm looking at this bird, and I'm thinking about all these bird videos where the mother is coming and feeding the baby birds. If one dies, one dies. Fuck, she probably feeds it to her own, the ones that are left. They feed shit. You know, it's like this idea from an outside perspective that there's this cute and doting aspect to the mothering, and you know, oh, that's all bullshit. You know, I remember when I was 17 and a half getting a letter from my mother that said, you need to get out of the house now. You're a baby bird, right? And the baby bird needs to fly out of the nest. And she wanted to rent my room out for $600. Now, CPS was aware of that shit at the time, right? And she was angry because I wasn't paying her rent. You know, while the terrible, malignant, narcissistic artist who had no talent and never brandished that talent and blossomed into anything, and sacrificed his entire life, you might say that you have a practicing warlock. You need to look at the practicing methods in your own family, in your own life, and realize that there is a preconditioning, that you do live in a Masonic jungle, that there is the Masonic headquarters in every single town, that there is the theater, that there is the library, right? And you need to go back to a township, right? And you need to see how it's set up, and you need to scratch your head and go, this is a codified system, and I am going through a walk. Because even the cars, they're an illusion. They put you in a false sense of a false time construct, right? Where you arrive at a certain place, certain destination at a certain time, but it never happened. And it may have happened, a quasi took place in what you sense as a familiar environment, but all of it is fake. And the closing of Rite Aid right here in front of me, and all the fast food restaurants, and the fact that you could go to a fast food restaurant now at 5 or 6 p.m. and there's not one damn car there. That happened to us yesterday. I've seen it over and over again. Or at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. on Mother's Day, barely anybody in line at Starbucks. It was made to fail. It was planned to fail. And I'm not further endorsing terms like spiritualism. But what I am saying is it's through the mechanism of spiritualism, whether or not it's from a long gone technocratic society that is still ruling with a dark night satellite, bases on the moon, and that there is a connection not only with an astral theological sense of things, times, events, metals, and things like this, but and the calculation of a Mandelbrot set, and the fact that you can have this spinner that seems to autonomously decide to spin the other way. And when you back up, when you look at the Mandelbrot set, and when you get into these subset systems, you can argue what's truth and what's not truth, right? But then when over 50% start spinning the other way, and now you have the Mandelbrot set being mirrored in a chiral position back onto itself, then you just start to see how there's this recombination, reorganization, the moving of times, principles, events that end up exactly the same way, where you have a right pointing hypotenuse or a left pointing, triangle in reverse, right? Thinking in reverse here. Just waking up. And the whole point is that the entire thing needs to be that it's based on the entire subset all the way into a macro view is based on falsities, right? And a false outcome of a mother unit, of a mothership. Again, my book, you could say it was a flop. It was about stellar mass 13, main character being star mass at the 13th position of Fear Phi. And it's halfway through perfection, halfway through the number system, halfway through the grand design, and it's saying this is as good as it gets, because you live under the illusion of that there is a perfect number system, and that there is perfection is attainable, and that there is this sort of Michelangelo depiction of the perfect human form. But that doesn't really exist, does it? Because we all come from a mother. That Phi-based 1.618, that 0.618% is strong, as smart, as talented, as accomplished, as capable as the potency of the male. And yeah, you could lead yourself into certain Nietzschean traps at that point, but I think Nietzsche was onto something. I think he was more than on to something. And I think many people were on to this that were great philosophers. I think Schopenhauer is right on, where he asserted the human female as this strange looking creature with short legs, hairy, short-legged, and Watson DNA. Looking at the passage of our genetics, and to see that you had somebody who undeniably had an entire lineage, several births in one town, and then without any cars or anything like that, walked or carted 50, 100 miles, 150 miles to another area and had a whole nother family. Like, you're talking about somebody who wasn't a victim, That's the other thing, all this guile and shit. They act like they're victims. Human females. Again, some are born. Some males, some females. Some are born closer to this androgynous strand. Closer toward this secular, scientific place. Where logic and reasoning make them study to the point where they must realize what I'm talking about. They must realize that it's all a big ruse. It's all a big act. That we are, in essence, trapped in this samsara as long as we celebrate these stupid holidays. As long as we celebrate the Circe, Mother Circe traditions of witchcraft. I don't celebrate it. They're witches. They're taking on the moniker of the witch. And not one is good. There isn't one good mother. There isn't one good father. There isn't one good baby that comes through this demonic possession and these acts and these rituals that are done with these dead flowers and everything else. I'm not practicing any more of these evil traditions that keep us locked into samsara. It's not going to happen. It's not coming from me.